Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. So Nick, welcome everyone to the Week in Italian Startups with Nicolò, where we dissect the main news happening in Italy, and everything is based on Nicolò's newsletter. So subscribe to that. It's the weekly highlights. So that's where we're starting from. So let's get started. Azimut was a big player last week. I mean, these guys are really like on a mission. So let's talk about it, because some of the biggest round last week saw them participating as one of the core investors. So that's let's talk about this. Starting from, I would say, Vedrai.
Yep.
Talk about Vedrai. So Vedrai offers business intelligence powered by AI to companies. And they've been doing really good. And biggest raise of last week, I would say, 40 million.
40 millions. Yes, Jack, you're right. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. A big round for a company that has been raising capital pretty quickly, actually. They completed a couple of rounds in quick steps last year. And this 40 millions is quite a sizable one for a company doing something like this in Italy. So AI-driven solutions for small to medium enterprises, which is very interesting. And you're right, the big news is who's leading the round. That's Azimut. Azimut is an asset manager. So far, we've seen Azimut as an investor through their funds. But in this case, if I got the news right, Azimut as a company is investing in Vedrai. So they're seeing as a strategic investment with their own balance sheet. So
they have a few different vehicles. One is the SGR, one is the company, and there are a few funds actually.
Exactly.
So that's a very multifaceted sort of company, which is like trying to allocate strategically through different vehicles. That's super interesting for sure. And to keep an eye, as you say. So that's very telling, actually. Very cool.
But I always find interesting these things. I mean, you've got the management company that's placing the investment to the investors, private clients, call them whatever you like. Yeah. And then they also invest themselves. So that's interesting in terms of agency problems, so in some relationship between you and your customers. So it's interesting.
Awesome. So
and the last point is let's remind our listeners that Vedrai is run by a very young CEO. So,
really?
I believe under 30.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. With already 80 people under him, that's super impressive. Fantastic.
Yep. Congratulations.
Yeah. Awesome. So the second big round of the week is with Solk, B2B food tech startup, raising 6.3 million. Also, basically, they've been raising through Alicrowd, and they raised almost $1 million through Alicrowd, but they also have like some strategic investors. And I met the founder actually last week.
I was gonna ask because
yes.
This is yours. So
this is mine because I was very impressed. The operation is tight. The founder is very, very driven. He knows the market of restauration, I would say, and food supply chain in Italy in particular, very, very well. Very clear idea on where they're going with this. They're essentially building a quick bridge from the producer to the restaurant owner. That's what they're doing, cutting the middleman so that actually all the restoration can have like a sort of a food as a service. That was interesting because it was describing that as food as a service, which is, restoration doesn't need to worry anymore too much about warehouse and the reordering. Well, Solk is there for them to do that. So that's pretty impressive. What has been particularly interesting is actually the way that they optimize for food production. So I was explaining how exactly they break the recipe into micro steps. A lot of preparation have common micro steps, up to even 70 to 80%. And then the latest bit actually qualifies that recipe for the delivery to the restaurant. So that's how they can really customize their offer to the different restaurants. It's pretty cool. So it's not just about food, actually. It's an optimization problem. That's really cool.
The logistics.
Yeah,
that's interesting. As always.
Yes.
When you move things around, logistics is the key. When you move and transform things, logistics is the key.
Very impressive. Yeah, and here Azimut, we see Azimut with the different sort of dress, which is the Alicrowd LTIF. Again, we've seen them investing through the LTIF for basically a whole last year in different deals, and they're still using the vehicle. Is super interesting for sure.
This is the vehicle that co-invests on the MailUp campaigns, so probably matches the amount raised on the crowdfunding portal.
Super interesting. All right, let's move on.
We also know the pre-money of the crowdfunding campaign is 18 million euros. And I wonder if this number somehow relates to the 6.3 million raised from the professional investors.
Yeah, I mean, also the Mama Crowd. I mean, not knowing about the non-Mama Crowd raise, that figure seemed high. But actually, seeing everything, I would say, I mean, it's tough to say. I would say it's tough to say. I have some trouble understanding whether it's higher or fair. I mean, the guys have been running for years. They're doing revenues. COVID hit, of course, but they're back on track essentially in terms of growth. Doing well, managerial speaking, doing well. 18 millions, I don't know.
If you run the numbers, more or less, you raise 7 millions, 18 millions per money, 25 post money means that you let 25% of the company. So 28% of the company on the table, 28% more or less, which is not so unreasonable.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, interesting.
Let's see. Awesome. Right, moving on. Insoore. All right. So these guys are doing essentially digital valuation of risk for insurance companies. An insuretech company. They've been around for a while. Insoore. I've been sort of seeing them mentioning. I'm not a big expert in insuretech, but these guys have been working hard and still there. So raising 5.5 million. And this is going through the Azimut Digitech Fund. Just to be clear and precise. From now on, we're going to be extremely clear about Azimut, just to see exactly and unpack their strategy. So that's going to be fun. And
in this case, this fund is the one managed by Gellify that co-invests with Gellify
interesting.
in the B2B, let's say, so deals.
Yeah, there you go. Lumen Ventures, Azimut Digitech through Azimut Digitech Fund and Gellify. Yeah. Fantastic.
And regarding Insoore, you're right. They've been around for quite a bit. The current shape of the company comes from a couple of pivots, all built around the technology that had to do with photography. And basically, they ended up with this solution to certify a photograph taken from a mobile phone. So basically, the idea is to crowdsource the photographic proof of some incident for the insurance market. That's probably the play, I believe, last time I saw them. This was more or less the direction.
Yeah, I mean, insuretech is really a big wave. There are a lot of plays. There is a lot of money there. It's huge. And again, not an expert, but definitely as a non-expert, I've seen it growing from the outside, and it's pretty impressive actually. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I have to say that I didn't know about CDP Capital, so I found out about them with this deal.
Yeah,
I believe. There are another player in Italy, so they are.
okay.
Yeah, the number of investors in Italy is growing. So they're kind of an interesting portfolio. Pin, Satispay, your job, charity stars, Bandier, inversions. I would say interesting portfolio.
Interesting. I'll take a look later. Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, the ecosystem is definitely like on the move for sure, both for the capital and for like these new like vehicles. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I wonder why their main menu is horizontal.
Yeah, I had some difficulties
From the
actually,
bottom up.
like understanding where that was, but we'll check it out later. Also.
The amateur engineer design is so far from my understanding.
Yeah, no, it's the usability. Nick is the usability. All right. Another good highlights which I found was very interesting was the deal with Alpian from Intesa Sanpaolo and Fideuram. That's really interesting. So Alpian is supposed to be the first FINMA certified bank, fully online bank from Switzerland. And they're in beta test. You can only basically access to the company through an early invitation, so they're beta. And basically they do both like a checking account, you can invest, probably they'll have the crypto, probably they have a card, and you can even have like a personal assistant sort of helping you out on some of the stuff that you need to do through the online banking.
Yeah, if you read the press release, you understand the positioning. They are basically going after minor affluent individuals. So with 100,000 to 1 million assets, liquid assets, whereas traditional private banks tend to go beyond the 1 million under management. And I have an interesting observation they just made as you were scrolling through the website. You can identify the ideal target of a bank, a digital bank in particular, from the number on the account that you see on the screenshot of the application. So look at that.
That is interesting, Nick. I didn't think about this.
Me neither, but I just saw the numbers, and usually in the last few decks or websites that I met of digital banks, that number was lower. But none of them was targeting at smaller affluent people. So that's
a great point. It's an interesting positioning point, like subliminal almost.
Exactly. I don't know whether this is something that's being actively pursued by whoever designed this, but that's interesting.
Yeah, interesting. No, good point. But the thing is this, like, I mean, it's interesting, this positioning, because probably people with a portfolio of 100 to 200K liquid asset, maybe you would do a few transactions on the phone, maybe you would check your portfolio on the phone, but above that level, I'm not sure if you would do it through phone, actually. That's the thing. Above, let's say you get to 500,000 like in liquid investable asset, then you start having like a portfolio manager. You want your laptop experience. You want something more professionally like managed in a way. I mean,
the full Swiss bank experience.
I think so.
The movies where you have, the person with, an elegant
exactly.
suit that welcomes you
with a nice dashboard, with nice screenshot. Yes, but still the guy there, like sort of helping you out.
Well, if you scroll down, you see that they have the private bank that you can call and talk to. It's not something that you see on your average digital bank or real bank or whatever. So
this is kind of a millennial and post-millennial high net worth to come sort of like a play. So that's a really interesting for sure. Very interesting.
Yep. And interesting bit is that this is a Swiss company with Swiss and international investors, but the lead investor and probably the owner of the bank at this point is Intesa Sanpaolo, subsidiary.
Yeah. Now that's something actually. That's definitely something. Yeah.
That was the interesting point.
About 19 million invested.
Mm.
So it's pretty low, also like a big round for sure.
Exactly.
Interesting. All right, another bank of the move, Banca Valsabbina. Like we've been talking about Banca Valsabbina in a few episodes. It's a tiny bank technically from north of Italy, but these guys again are like moving extremely fast, acquiring like a very strategic position in the future of banking, including blockchain. So there you go, 27% acquired of Sandbox, the maker of Fleap. So there you go. It's a very, very interesting way to sort of move a small traditional bank. So these guys know what is up.
Yeah, they're moving fast. They're doing a lot of deals in the space and diversifying a lot. Yeah. And this one is clearly an exploration because whereas if you invest in I don't know, financial credit company, that's your business, it. But this is more far-fetched. This is more futuristic.
Yeah, no, totally.
And the news piece was not clear cut regarding the deal, but this is the company acquired 27% of the target in both a secondary and some primary deals. So there is also a primary investment. I don't know how much, but still, they put money into the company, not just acquired shares.
Very cool. All right, the other big trend of last week: accelerators everywhere.
You're skipping one bit of the news that I actually figured it would be interesting. That's
go ahead.
Operation, ContactLab and Growens. And it's a boring M&A operation, but it's interesting because we know the multiples, we know the numbers.
Okay.
And I just wanted to quickly touch upon the.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, Growens is a public company and it has MailUp among the other services they are offering. Basically, ContactLab is another email marketing and digital marketing startup. So they are merging ContactLab with MailUp. An interesting bit that was, of course, as a number geek, I immediately went to take a look at the numbers. So basically, last year, ContactLab made 1 million EBITDA.
Okay.
Not a huge company.
Yeah.
And Growens is paying 5 million straight away, plus an earnout of 6.6 million. So up to 11 times EBITDA.
Wow.
Then I took a look at the multiple of Growens because it's a public company. And I mean, it's boring again because that's exactly what I expected. And that company's multiples are exactly between 9, 10-ish and 13-ish times the EBITDA. So all is boring. This is a really traditional boring M&A transaction with the multiples of traditional boring M&A transactions. My opinion. Still. There's no premium for the future.
It's just simple. It's simple and
crazy multiple. Fair market multiple only if the target is good.
So there you go. There you have it. It's boring, but they get things done. It's done. It's closed. Some people are very happy. Not crazy, but market. It's market valuation, which is good. Good. So just confirming. That's interesting. That's cool.
Just wanted to share my boredom about it. Which, I mean, congratulations for the parties, but still, it's so playbook-like. It's incredible.
That's good. Sometimes playbook plays well, so it's a good thing. Also. Okay, so now you did the fundraising tracker. I'm kind of starting to think into the accelerator tracker because there are like accelerator coming up once every like a few months. I think we're at 11. So see the guys at CDP, we have to get some people from there really just to talk of what's going on. When are they gonna stop? So nationally, I think we have 11. We've been seeing this page grow over the months, which is like super interesting, from the cyber to the future ed. So now they're launching the Silver Tech Accelerator, so Next Age, which is focused on what it is essentially, the technology basically catering elderly. to help them with everything that they need, essentially. Which it's a very interesting trend, which I've seen like very much grow in Italy. Well, Italy is an aging population, of course. It's a very Italian fun, probably, I would say, in a way. Yeah, people are trying to solve those problems, from actually, people assisting elderly, or optimizing, some services for healthcare facility for the elders. So there you go. Yeah.
I have to say, I've had a few conversations around this market in the last few months. So it's hot. Everybody knows it's hot. Everybody believes that Italy is the market where, interesting things should come out of.
Yeah.
They haven't yet, I believe, from at least on the international level. But maybe thanks to also this accelerator, we'll see something interesting, something fresh, something new in this market.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. There you go. I mean, very curious about how everything in CDP deploys is going to play out. That's super interesting. Now,
and I have to add to this that the first accelerators that CDP launched are coming of age. So the demo days are starting now. So the loop is closing.
Yeah, so we'll see what the Wii Sport Zero and the Motor. I think they're the three beginner one, right? And then Cyber come later. I remember when they launched Cyber, but before that, I think that's where we got them when they were 3. Now they're at 11. So it's pretty wild. Interesting.
We'll see. Interesting.
We'll see.
Yes, exactly.
Another accelerator focusing on the decarbonization and energy. It's basically this huge company, Baker Hughes, working with Nana Bianca and the Impact Hub to actually helping out with the novel materials and attract ideas where startups are working for decarbing the new economy, essentially. So
nothing to add. Yeah, this is more of a club of ideas, an accelerator, but still something interesting. Because this is a big company that's moving to find new solutions, new ideas on this market, and that market is extremely hot right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. The decarb is as hot as the DeFi. Well, they're very on the same pace, I would say. That's super interesting. Okay, let's end up with a bittersweet news. Well, more bitter, I would say. So the report you mentioned, Ernst Young, basically making a research in terms of the global IPO market in Q1 of 2022, slowing down massively compared to last year. Well, last year was a record year. I don't know if this is like a return to the mean in a way. Now we're like seeing like a little bit of going back. Reading materials, people were kind of already feeling the slowing down of the IPO market. On top of which there is also this fear of hyper valuation, so they're kind of returning back. And then, of course, you add the war, you add the slowing down of the global economy and everything that is happening, and that's a perfect recipe for a very, very weak IPO quarter, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So 2021 was a record year, for sure. Flush with money. So a great window for IPOs. So the stock markets went completely crazy due to boredom of not having the capabilities to do anything else.
Yes.
Money.
Exactly.
Even though probably the worst quarter since the last 20 years is probably a bit too much in terms of slowing down.
Yeah.
That's a bit too fast, a bit too harsh, a bit too much. So we see.
Funny enough, is Asia Pacific though. Actually, Asia Pacific rose in terms of IPOs. That's I don't know how to take it, how to interpret it. I mean, maybe they're like a little bit less volatile than the other markets. Maybe they're holding. I don't know. It's interesting though, because that's the only kind of region that is like keeping an up pace on the IPOs.
It seems that South Korea was the best player in the article. But
there you go. Yeah.
Well, right now the problems with electronics and I don't know. I'm not going to do any macroeconomic analysis on this. I have no idea. But still, the datum stands. Big slowdown, and let's see what happens in the next quarter.
Yeah, we'll see. Exactly. All right, Nick, and with that, thank you very much for joining. Thank you for the listener. Again, this is the Week in Italian Startup. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast, and I'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Jack. See you next week. Next week is going to be number 100.
Yeah, so, special episode, Nick. We need to plan a special episode there. Exactly. Thank you. See you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Ciao.